Okay, so in yesterday's class, we were discussing about registration page and then login page. I clearly explained you registration page how it starts and how data is retrieved from the HTML form and then inserted into the table of the database. Okay, so today let us see index.php file. So here actually we are going to create sessions in this. We are not just going to start the session, but we are also going to create session variables here. Okay, so look at the index page. When you look at the index page, it has how many fields? Email field and then password. Right? It has email field and password field. So let us now. So I'm not going to allow anyone else. I'm not going to admit anyone else. Please tell them that they can watch on YouTube and then text their roll number there itself. So if we look at this index.php file, so at the top you have PHP code, but below that you have the HTML code. So in the body of the HTML, see I'm using the style sheet also. So let us not go and discuss about all this styling and all. So in the body, we have created a division called division with ID attribute value login form, and in that we have created a form HTML form. Method is given as post. No action attribute is used. So if there is no action attribute, it means that the form will be submitted to the same page. So using a table, and we are creating rows. In the first row, we are creating a text field to enter the name, email ID. So name attribute value is given as email, placeholder is given your email, and it is required. Then the second row has password, and name is given as pass, placeholder is your password, and then a button with its name attribute value btn hyphen login. Okay, so this is sign in. So when you submit this form by clicking on the sign in button after entering your email and password, the form will be submitted to this PHP file, PHP code, right? First, we are starting the session by calling the session underscore start function. And then I'm including the dbconnect.php also here also, just like we did in yesterday's register.php file. So the entire code that is part of dbconnect.php will be placed here. So let me show you once again the dbconnect.php file. So if you are able to establish connection to the database, then this is going to return the connection object which will be stored in this variable $con. So we can use that $con variable in index.php file because we have included the complete file here. So this statement will be replaced with that code in dbconnect.php. Then what I'm doing is using an if block. So if block starts here with this brace and ends here immediately, right? Just like we did in yesterday's program. But there the condition will become false, and here the condition will become true. So if ESET $_session of user not equal to empty, then this becomes true. So yesterday the same condition we have used in register.php, but here what will happen is this will become true. This will become true here. There it will become false. So look at the code completely. There is no other code anywhere else. Only the HTML code here, right? And then PHP code in the head section. We have created the PHP code in the head section. So if this user session underscore, if $_ session of user is not empty, is not equal to empty. Not equal to empty means it is something else. It has something, some other value. Then you will be redirected to home.php, right? So first time when you load this page, this PHP code gets executed, but because the session variable is not yet created, this will be skipped. This will be checked. If is set of dollar underscore post of btn hyphen login. So this will be definitely set only if the user enters email ID and password and clicks on the sign in button. So an entry will be created in dollar underscore post with its index as btn hyphen login, right? So this will become true. This isset function will return true because an entry has been created by submitting the form. So if this is true, then this if block gets executed. So what you are doing in this if block is, first you are extracting, like just yesterday how we did, we extracted the username, email ID, password uh, by calling the mysql I underscore real underscore escape underscore string function, and we need to pass $con variable as first parameter, and then second parameter is the value that you are trying to extract from the HTML form. So that will be stored in dollar underscore post of email, right? So you are retrieving that email and storing it in dollar email. Similarly, you're doing the same for password also. So dollar underscore post of pass and storing it in upass, right? Then using the mysqli underscore query function. Yesterday we have used this mysql underscore query function, but we used it in an if statement. But here what I'm doing is I'm not using it in an if statement. Instead, directly I'm making a call to this query function, and first parameter must be the connection variable $con, and second parameter is the query that we want to execute. This time we want to execute select query, not the insert command, right? So in the registration page, we inserted the user's username, email ID, and password, and along with that, an auto increment field is also there, user ID. So all these four we have inserted in yesterday's program because that is for registration. But now what we need to do is we need to extract data from the database table instead of inserting. Why? Because the whatever user email ID and password that the user enters in this login form, they must be stored in these variables. We have already extracted them and stored in these variables. Now we need to check whether there, if at all, if there is a user in the table matching with this email ID, whatever email ID you have given, because email ID is a unique field. There will be exactly only one record in the table with matching with this email ID. So we need to write the select query matching with that email. So how to write that one? So I'm opening the double quote because I need to keep it in a string format. I'm putting it in double quote. So what I have written is select star. If you want to retrieve any record from the table, you need to use this select star from so and so. You want to retrieve the entire row and its all its fields, then we'll use star comma star. Otherwise, we'll specify the specific field name, right? So now I want to extract the complete table row. So I'm using select star from the table name is users, right? And I'm using a where clause. So using a where clause, I'm mentioning where email field name is equal to $email. So where is this $email? This one. So this $email is retrieved from the login form. So if there is any record in the table of the database matching with this email ID that is entered in the login form, then that particular record will be extracted and that will be stored in this res variable that will be returned by this MySQL query. Today, what MySQL query has done is it has written either true or false, right? So actually, true or false means what? Logically speaking, true is a non-zero value and false is a zero value. So MySQL query function will return a non-zero value or zero value if there is no record retrieved from the table, right? So yesterday, when it has returned a non-zero value, it became a true, and we have used it in an if statement. So if statement condition becomes true, and as a result, if block gets executed. But here we are not using it in if block. we want to retrieve that record and store it in a variable. So directly assign this value returned by this MySQL query function to a variable $res. Res stands for result. Okay. So now this res has the record that is retrieved from the MySQL table. So next step, what I have to do is there is a function called mysqli underscore fetch underscore associative, ASSOC. This function is another predefined function in PHP. This receives as input any record variable that is retrieved from the table of a database. It receives that as a parameter. And what it does is it will convert all the field names and their values. So every table record will have the four different field names, right? First one is user ID, second one is username, third one is email ID, and fourth one is password. These four fields we have, right? So all these four fields will have their respective values in that particular table. So all those values will be converted into an associative array and stored in that associative array with their index values same as that of the field names in the table of the database. So in the table, whatever field names we have, let me open the table for you. So this is the registration database that we are using, and then users is the table. So we have these four fields: user underscore ID, username, email, and password. So now what is going to happen when you pass this $res variable to this MySQL underscore fetch underscore associative array? It is going to return an associative array, right? So that associative array will be stored in this $row. So now what is this $row? $row is nothing but an associative array. So this $row will have indices like this. So what is the first table field name? User ID, right? So it will have user underscore ID as its index, and here in this, what is the value stored? Whatever record you have retrieved. So what is the retrieve? For example, I'm giving uh, shwetadipti.gmail.com. This is the email that I'm giving, and password also, whatever password I've given, I'll give that one. Okay. So with this email ID, whatever record is there in our table, what is the record? This is the record, right? It has four fields. User ID value is 8, username value is Shweta, and email is this one, and password is this one. So these values will be stored in the form of an associative. So this value, user ID value will be 8, and $row of second one is username, right? Second one is username, right? So with the same name, it should match exactly with the field name. The field name is username, and here the index name must also be same username. So its value is Shweta. And similarly, $row, what is the third field name? Email, right? Need to write email here. So this will be the associative array will be like this. I'm saying for your understanding, I'm saying. It's not, right. This is email ID field value. Then password. What is the field name we have given in the table? Password, right? So the field name will be password, and say the password I've given like this. And so these values will be stored in the form of a associative array like this. Whatever record has been retrieved from the table of the database, so that record will be stored in the form of a associative array. So who is going to create an associative array? This function, mysqli underscore fetch underscore associative. That means from the MySQL table, this function is going to fetch that record and convert it into an associative array and store that result in the variable that you have given on the left hand side of the assignment operator. So now this row is nothing but an associative array. So what are the indices you'll have for this row array? Means these are the indices. What are those indices? Those index names are nothing but exactly matching with the table field names. How many field names are there? That many indices will be there. There are 4 fields in the table, so 4 fields are created in this array uh, with their respective indices exactly matching with the table index or table field names. And their values are stored in that particular index. Now I need to convert. I need to compare my password that I entered. Email is matched already, and that's the reason why the record has been retrieved. Right. So once the email is matched and record has been retrieved and stored in this row variable, row array, now I need to compare the password that I entered in the login form. Where is the password stored? Here in $upass. And where is the password that is retrieved from the table of the database available? It is available in this row array. So in that row array, you need to refer to that password with this index name password. Right? So $row of password. So that's why I put this in if statement. If $row of password is equal to MD5 of $upass. Why? Because the password in the table has been encrypted by using MD5 algorithm. So in the registration page, we have done it. We have uh, created we have encrypted the password and then inserted into the table using MD5 algorithm. So when it is retrieved now also we need to compare only with the encrypted password of the current password that we entered in the login form. So then only they will be matching. Otherwise, what will happen if you match with the password that you entered in the login form, which is not converted into, which is not encrypted using MD5 algorithm? So that value will be differing with the value that is retrieved from the table. So the password value that is retrieved from the table is encrypted using MD5 algorithm. So you need to compare it with the same password which is also encrypted using MD5 algorithm. So the user entered password in the login form upass. I'm passing it as parameter to MD5 function. MD5 is a predefined function in PHP. So this is going to encrypt the password. So after encryption, whatever value is obtained, that value will be compared with this password row of password. So if both of them are matching, then what we'll do is we are creating an entry in $_section, right? So what is that entry? Index with index user. And what is the value stored in the $_section of user is $row of user ID. So what is the user ID? The user ID value is 8, right? So this user ID value is stored in $_session of user as its value. Okay. So after creating, that means we are creating a session variable. How to create a session variable? By simply using the $_session super global and giving some index name, that is key name, because it is an associative array. So we need to give a key name. It is not a numeric value, right? So just give the key name within a single quote and use an assignment operator and assign some value to that session variable. So now this $_section of user is nothing but one session variable which is stored in the $_section of super global, right, with index as user. So the session variable has been created now and that value is 8. And after creating this session, what we are doing is we are calling the header function and then redirecting the user from the current page to this location called home.php. So soon after you log in, what is happening is your password is being retrieved from the table of the database and compared with the password that you gave in the login form. And if the both of them are matching, then you are creating a session variable and storing some data, that is user ID value, in that session variable. And then you are being redirected to the home.php file, right? So if this is not matching, that means if both the passwords are not matching, then this else block will be executed and this else block will display a JavaScript alert, wrong details. Whatever message you want to give, you can give that message here, right? So this is what we have done. We have created a session variable. Then why this is going to become false here means, uh, because this PHP code will be automatically executed soon after the page is loaded, right? Because we didn't put it in any PHP function. So as long as the code is outside a PHP function, the code gets executed automatically soon after the page is loaded into the browser, just like the JavaScript code. But if we don't want this code to be executed, first we need to put this condition. Used is set of $_session of user. So when this will be set, only when the user's login credentials are matching and such an variable is created with this entry index user, then only this will be returning, is set function will be returning true. Otherwise it is going to return false, right? So first time when it is executed, the user has not submitted the form. So this will become false even here also, just like it happened in the register.php file. Even here also it will become false. But when the user enters some data into the HTML form and clicks on the sign in button, submits the form, then again this PHP code gets executed. This time what will happen? Even if the user is trying to go to some other page or something, if the session variable is existing, then you will be redirected to the home.php file, right? So this will be useful, say for example, after logging into my application. So now I'll click on sign in and log in, right? So I'm redirected to home.php file. So this is happening because of which code? Because of this password matching code. We are creating a section variable and then redirecting the page to home.php. So because of this code, we came to this home.php file, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on sign out button. So what is going to happen? Again, I'm redirected to index.php, right? So if I am redirected to index.php file, then what will happen? Again, this index.php file code, PHP code will be executed starting from here, right? So when this is executed, will this $_session of user still be available? It will not be available because we have clicked on sign out button. So when you click on sign out button, what will happen is sign out .php file has some code to destroy this session variable. We have created the session variable here, but once you sign out, the session variable will be destroyed. So if it is destroyed, and then if this code is executed again, will this become true or false? It will become false. So if it becomes false, then this code will not be executed. If it is not executed, what will happen? You'll remain in the same index.php. You'll not be redirected to home.php. And even this also will become false because the page has not been submitted now. Simply we have came back to this index.php file without submitting the form. So if you have not submitted the form, even this also will become false. If this becomes false, even this entire code will not be executed. If this is not executed, nothing will happen. You will simply remain in this index.php file. Right? So let me explain you the signout.php also. Then you'll understand completely. And still after that also, if you have any doubt, then you can ask any queries. Let me open that signout.logout.php file. See, where is this sign out page available? So after I log in, say I'm going to log in with my right. So where is this home.php file? So let me first show you also home.php file. So this is home.php file. In the home.php file, we have created divisions, and in the head division, we have created a header, and inside that we have created two divisions. One is ID left, and then ID right. Right. So in the left division, we are displaying a label called VJT. So you can see this VJT. Then in the right division, again, I'm creating ID content, and then a message is displayed hello, followed by a PHP code is written. So a PHP tag is opened, and what is this PHP code doing? It is echoing dollar user row of username. So this is another array created in this home.php file. I'll explain you that home.php file, then you'll understand this, right? Of username. So this is going to retrieve data from the table, the user row table, and is what is the username? It is available under field name username. So that username is displayed here, right? And after that, a anchor tag is created for logging out, and that is displaying a link sign out. So when you click on this sign out, href will be taking you to which page? Logout.php, and after that a question mark is given. So this is nothing but a query string. You can give the query string here also, like this directly. So give a question mark, and to which what is the parameter you want to pass? Logout parameter. So I am passing a variable called logout parameter to this logout.php. So after the query string, what will you have? A parameter and its value, right? But I'm not sending both the parameter name and value together. I'm sending only the parameter. So this will carry the value of this one also. We'll check this program later after discussing about this home.php. So what is there in home.php file? At the beginning, you have the same session underscore start function, and then we are including the dbconnect.php file here also, because we want to interact with the database here also. Then what I'm doing is I'm checking is set of dollar underscore session of user. So how did we come to this home.php file? From the index.php file, right? After logging in with the proper credentials, we have been redirected to this page. So if that is the case, session has been created with its index as user there, with its value something, right? So we are checking whether that particular session of user is created and available or not by passing this as parameter to eSet function. What is this going to do? It is going to return true if that user session variable is still existing. If it is deleted, then it will return false. Right? So if it is available, which means that the user is still logged in, right? He is still logged in. When it will be destroyed? After he logs out of this, that is, after he signs out of the application, then it will be destroyed. Okay? So when you are still available, that means when you are still in this home page without logging out, then this is going to return true, and this not operator will negate that true to false. So when this will be executed means if the session of user is not available, then this will be executed. So when this will not be available, if the user has already logged out, then this isSet function will return false. Right? So if it is returning false, the not operator will make it true. So then this if block gets executed. That means when this header function will be called, if the user has already logged out of the application, then this header function will be called. If the user has not yet logged out of the application, then this will become false, and as a result, this will be skipped. Okay, so if the user has already logged out of this application and he is trying to come back to this home page by clicking the back button, say now I have logged out. Which page I went? Index.php. Now I want to go back to the home.php by clicking on the back button, right? So if I do so, what will happen? This will return what? False. Because soon after I click on sign out button, this session variable that we created earlier will be destroyed, as I told you earlier. So I'll show you the code how it is destroyed later. When we look into signout.php file, then I'll tell you how it is destroyed. So as of now, just assume that because we have signed out of that page, this dollar underscore session of user variable will be destroyed. If it is destroyed, then eSet function will return false. And if it returns false, this not operator will negate it to true. So then this complete condition will become true, and as a result this header function will be executed, and it will redirect you to which page? Index.php file. So even though you clicked on back button to go to home.php file, what is happening? it is redirecting you to index.php file instead of home.php file, because after you sign out, somebody else will come and click on back button. You are not the one who is clicking the back button. Somebody else came and sat on the same system after some time, and they are clicking on the back button to go to the home page of your application, even though you logged out. So we should not allow it, right? So if you don't want to allow them, what we need to do, we need to check this session variable. If it is available, then we need to allow. If it is not available, then we need to redirect them to that login page so that they can log in with their username and password instead of yours. Right? So that is the reason we write this code here like this. So this will be executed only if you are logged out. But if you are logged in already, let us assume that we are already logged in. So now I'll enter the email ID and log in. Right? So now I am currently logged in. So if I am logged in, then what will happen to this one? This will return true. If this returns true, this not operator will negate it to false. If it becomes false, this if block will not be executed, and this will be continuing with this one. So in the next statement, what we have is we are executing the same MySQL query function and passing $con variable. And this time I'm executing the query select star from users, where user ID, I'm checking for user ID, not email ID, right? Where user ID is equal to concatenated with the dollar underscore session of user. So we have already having dollar underscore session of user session variable created, which contains the user ID that we stored in the home index page. Right? In the login page, we have created a session variable which will have the value of dollar underscore session of user. So I stored it somewhere here, right, with the value 8, right? So because this user ID field is a unique field, primary key field, so user ID will be unique. So what will happen? This is going to retrieve only one record from the table, whichever is matching with that user ID 8, right? So once this is retrieved, it is stored in this $res variable. Then again, I'm passing this $res to MySQL underscore fetch underscore associative function, just like we did in the index.php file, right? And then as a result, this is going to return an associative array, but this time the associative array variable name I have given user row, right? In the previous program, we simply used row. Now I'm giving user row. So now this user row is nothing but similar to this row array that we created earlier. So now this will become simply user row. Instead of simply row, it will become user row. Field names will be same because the table from which we are extracting is same and the record that we are extracting is also same. So the field names will be same. Okay. So once we obtain this record and stored in this associative array $user row, now what we are doing here is in the home page, the head section, I'm displaying a message hello, right, which is appearing at the top, hello, followed by I want to display the username there. So we have already username available in which associative array $user row of username. So this is the name, right? Where is it stored? $user row of username. So I'll echo $user row of username. Give a semicolon for this statement and close the PHP tag. So this is going to display uh, hello Shweta. And beside that, after giving a space ampersand NBSP semicolon, this is going to give a one space. After space, I'm displaying a hyperlink using anchor tag, and that hyperlink will be displayed as sign out. Right? You can see sign out. And for this anchor tag, href value, what I'm giving is logout.php and passing a parameter called logout, right? The query string. So now where you will be transferred is when you click on sign out button, you will be redirected to which page? Logout.php. So let us go to logout.php file. So this is the logout.php file. So this doesn't have any HTML code. It directly has a PHP code. So here also I'm using session underscore start function. So everywhere you need to use this session underscore in all the PHP files you are creating for this application. Definitely use this session underscore start function. At the beginning only you have to use, right? Then after that I'm checking whether the user is already session has been destroyed or not. If it is destroyed, this will return true, false. Otherwise, it will return true. So if it is already destroyed, say for example, then this will return false. If it is returning false, this not operator will make it true. That means the user has not logged out, right? He has not logged out, but you are trying to come to this logout page. So when this will happen, you can do in this way directly from this home page. Instead of typing this home page, you can edit this URL. Some known people so who has awareness on developing PHP application. After login, he'll type logout.php, right? He'll try to type this like this and click on enter. So then what will happen? You'll come to this logout.php file. But when you come to this logout.php file, earlier if you have already visited this logout.php file, then the session variable will be destroyed. But this is the first time you are coming to this page. So when you are coming to this page for the first time, this will check whether this variable has been destroyed or not by calling isSet function. So this is going to return true if it is already destroyed. It is going to return false if it is not yet destroyed. So let us, for example, because we are coming it here for the first time, it is not yet destroyed. So if it is not yet destroyed, this is going to return what? False, right? If it is not yet destroyed, this is going to return false, and this not operator will make it true. So this statement will be executed, and you will be redirected to index.php file, right? So if you have already visited this one, else that means this isSet function is going to return true. True when it is going to return true if this is still set, not yet destroyed. So now which is the condition? It is not yet destroyed, right? We have not yet destroyed. So this is going to return true and this will negate it to false. As a result, this will be skipped and you will come to this else block. And again here you are checking whether $section of user not equal to blank. So not equal to blank means if it is destroyed, then it will become blank, right? So what I am doing is I am passing $section of user not equal to blank. If it is equal to, if it is not equal to blank means it is still set. It is available with some value. 8 is the value that we are saying, right? So this is going to return what? True. So if this is returning true, then you will be redirected to home.php file. If it is blank, then this will also be skipped. This will also be skipped. So both these codes will be skipped because we have not yet destroyed, right? So we'll come to this code. This code will execute again is set of $get of logout. Why I'm using $get? When you pass a query string, what type of method it will become? Will it become get method or post method? Only get method will have a query string. Post method will not have a query string, right? So, but we came to this page with the help of a query string, right? We have passed a href is equal to logout.php question mark logout, right? So we have passed a query string and we have passed a parameter. So that parameter will be created with an entry in the $get super global. So if this is created, what does it indicate? The query string has been executed, and as a result, the $get super global is creating an entry with its index value as logout. So this isSet function will return true in that case. So this will become true, and this part will be executed. So what is there in this part? We are calling a function called session underscore destroy. So now what is this session underscore destroy function going to do is it is going to stop the session. We have started the session, right, at the beginning of every page. So in this logout page, the session will be destroyed, and the session variable that is already created and stored in the $_ super global with its index name as user, this will be unset by calling unset function. Earlier it was set, right, by assigning it with a value 8, but now by calling unset function and passing the session variable name like this, so this particular session entry user will be destroyed, which will be removed, it will be deleted. And after doing that, you are making a call to header function which will redirect the page to index.php. So that is what happening in our program. When we click on sign out button, the session is destroyed first, and the session variable that we created, session entry that we created with the index as user, that will also be unset, and then you will be redirected to index.php file. This is what happening here. Okay, so this is how you need to create a registration and login page. So you need to write this code multiple times because there will be multiple different scenarios using which the user will try to come to a particular page. You can come to this index.php file uh, by directly opening this directory name and clicking on this. Then you will come to this index.php. And what is the other way to come to this index.php file? From after you log in, you may try to come back to this index.php file by clicking on the back button, right? So that is second scenario. And similarly, home.php file also, after you log in with your credential, you will come back to home.php file. And after that, you have logged out of this application, then you will go back to index.php file. That means from home.php, you have entered to login index.php. And again, now if you click on back button of the browser, what is the previous page? It will go to that previous page, right? So what is the previous page? Home.php. So you'll try to go to home.php, but you must not be allowed to go to home.php file. So for that scenario also, you need to write the code logic. So in that way, uh, to allow the user or not to allow the user to come to a particular page, whatever possibilities are there, in how many ways the user will try to come to page. So you have to consider all those ways, and in all those situations, as per the logic, you need to allow or not allow the user to come to that page. If he has entered his login credentials and clicked on sign in button, then you must allow him to come to home.php file. Otherwise, you should not allow him to come to home.php file. After sign out also, if he tries to click on back button, you should not allow him to come to home.php file, right? So in that way, different scenarios you have to consider and write the logic like this. So this is how this registration and login system will work, right? So understood everyone? Any queries? See, I'll send this code in Google Drive. I'll share it on Google Drive. You can access it from there. Any doubts you can raise now. Hello, am I audible? Someone, could you please respond?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? Sai Krishna, yes for what? Yes, what should I understand? Whether you have doubt?
No
or
doubt, sir.
no, no. Okay. So you're saying it for audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else? Only 32 are there. So what about others? Okay, let me take the attendance now. I'll give attendance only for those who are available now. No, no. Even if you chat or if you text me in the chat also, I'm not going to get anything. I'm going to open the Excel sheet and take the attendance live. So today is 6th October 2020, and stream here.